Welcome everybody to week 9, I believe it is, of RevUP. Yep, it is week 9. Today we're going to talk about the residential listing agreement. So we're going to talk about kind of start to finish getting your listing, getting a listing and getting it active. If you have not joined RevUP before, you're watching this for the first time, this is a 12-week class, and we kind of cover all the basics of real estate. And if you're just starting here, you are not, it does not necessarily stack on top of the previous week, so you don't have to go back and watch those first. So anyways, let's jump right in. Today, we are going to be talking about the seller representation agreement, the agency disclosure, MLS listing forms, seller disclosures, counteroffers, multiple offers, and multiple counteroffers. Last time I focused a lot on the counteroffers and multiple offers and multiple counteroffers. So this time I'm going to focus a little bit more about actually getting a listing and starting it on the MLS. Trying to switch it up a little bit. And then if you are really curious about it, we'll see how much time we have, but if you really want to take a deeper dive into counteroffers and how to negotiate with multiple offers, we've done other classes on those. So let me know and we can send you the video for those. As always, we start RevUp with an affirmation. Today's affirmation is, I have the power to create all the success and prosperity I deserve. Okay, let's jump right in and talk about completing the listing paperwork. The slides are totally not necessary for this class, so I'm gonna get away from the slides. That's my email. Okay, so I'm going to just use a random property that I sold a couple years ago because it just popped in my head. Okay, so I'm in the MLS. I'm going to start by clicking on Realist, which I've already done. It takes forever to load, so I preloaded it. Thinking ahead. Very clever. Okay, so start by putting in the address in Realist so that you can get all the information about the property. Here's the parcel ID, and this is what we're going to need. And now I'm going to go into Transaction Desk. So click on Transaction Desk, which I've already done, because again, I'm thinking well ahead. And you're going to click here where it says Transactions, create a transaction. So this is different from writing an offer. As you guys know, when you're writing an offer, you start in the MLS and you click on the listing, you click write an offer. It doesn't actually say that. You click Transaction Desk inside the listing. Here you actually start in Transaction Desk and you say create a transaction. My names for my transactions are the last name followed by the address. That's just a way that I'm able to that way I can search really quick by the address or their name. Template is going to be a standard residential listing. If you're in Gig Harbor, you can do standard residential listing in Gig Harbor. It's only if you're one of our Gig Harbor agents and you're using the Gig Harbor office. And then I'm going to say import the data from Realist. Select the county. Tax ID, that's why I copied that. And then I'm the listing broker and use the wizard. And the wizard will help guide us. It's not even funny. I thought it sounded funny when I said it. Andrew's shaking his head at me like, dude, just stop. Okay, this is the first page. So the cool thing when you start with a parcel number, it inputs a lot of the data, right? We're not going to have a listing number yet because you won't have that until you import this into the MLS. Let's say we have a price in mind, $675. Obviously, we don't have a purchase price here, so we're going to leave that blank. We're going to leave some blanks here, and I'll explain why a little bit later. And this is what the wizard does. It'll take you through all the important steps. If you didn't use the wizard, it would just take you to the dashboard, and then you'd have to go kind of not in order. I know this is a hypothetical listing. Let's say we're going to list on the 20th. Let's talk about that for a second. In a hot market, my suggestion is to list on a Thursday, possibly a Wednesday, possibly a Friday, but a Thursday, and review offers on Monday or Tuesday. That gives 3-4 days for multiple buyers to go through. That gives you time to do open houses if you would like. And it stirs up urgency, right? If you say, if you list on a Thursday and you say offers, I'm getting ahead of myself, but if you say offers can be reviewed at any time, will be reviewed as soon as they come in, then you might get, a list price offer and be happy with it, but you might miss out on somebody who's going to go through on Sunday. So that's why talk about it a little bit more when we're going through the listing input. That's why I do it on Thursday and I review on Monday or Tuesday. Listing expiration date is kind of, in a hot market, it's kind of a silly date, but Essentially what it means is when you list a property, it is set to automatically expire at a certain date. This can be whatever you agree to with the seller. Generally, I do it around 6 months, but in a hot market, that just doesn't really happen. Sometimes the seller, if they're a little more skittish, you can use as part of your sale. Let's do a 1 month listing agreement because I'm confident we will sell in a month. Important to know, your listing agreement is just while it's active. Okay, so if you did a 7-day listing agreement, you'd probably be able to sell it in time, right? Because once you go pending, it doesn't expire because it's pending. Okay. Anyways, so let's just do roughly 6 months. Again, not much rhyme or reason behind that. And then we don't have a purchase sale agreement date or offers or mutual acceptance or anything like that. So we're going to leave that blank because remember, Transaction Desk is set up for listing all the way through to closing. So we don't have this information until we get offers. Next, you're going to put your clients in. When you import from Realist, it already knows who the sellers are. That's kind of funny because that is incorrect. Okay, there we go. And then you can add their emails, which I'm going to skip right now because I don't need to show you guys how to add emails. It's pretty simple. Okay, these are the standard listing forms. Some apply, some do not apply. So let's go through them really quick. We've got the listing input. That's we'll go through it in a minute, but that's where you put all the information in about the property. The 1A is the listing agreement. That's where we're going to talk about commissions. The Form 17 is the seller disclosure. As you probably know, the seller disclosure is the one form that we are not allowed to fill out. It says at the top, the seller has to fill it out and only the seller can fill it out. 22E is a FERPTA. It's the seller disclosing that they are not a foreign citizen. 22J is only applicable if the home is older than 1978. And so this home was built in 1970, so that will be applicable. And 22K is a utility addendum. I'm going to throw in another one that you might consider using in a hot market like this, and it's the Form 35P. So especially in this case where we're listing on a Thursday, reviewing on a Tuesday, 35P is an awesome form. It's an aggressive form to include in your listing, in your supplements. And what it says, let's just jump right into it. It is telling buyers, hey, we're encouraging you to do a pre-inspection and thus waive your inspection following the pre-inspection. Because frankly, we are much more inclined to accept an offer that has a waived inspection. So if somebody's going to do a pre-inspection, they need the seller to sign a 35P, allowing them to do a pre-inspection. So I sign it ahead of time. They don't have to do it, but what the heck? There we go. They don't have to do it, but it's in there. So now all they have to do is just send me the pre-inspection and schedule the pre-inspection. They don't have to wait on my sellers to sign it. So I love including this. I say they may do a sewer scope as well. And then we'll put in the buyer broker. Oh, that's not, sorry, I'm losing my mind. Sorry, we're not gonna put anything here. This is where the buyer's broker's information is gonna be. Buyer's gonna sign here. We're just gonna sign here as sellers. Okay, let's start going through the paperwork. I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible, but again, a lot of this is, we could spend hours going through this. So I'm going to try and give a pretty good overview, but if you have more specific questions about any of this, don't hesitate to schedule another meeting with me. Okay, so it's automatically putting in part of the address. Area, this is a common question. So to find the area, you go into the Northwest MLS. Up here in the search bar, I'm sorry, I went to the home page. Up here in the search bar, I'm going to type in area map. Excuse me. Area maps and descriptions. I'm going to click on Pierce County. And then you can kind of find roughly where we are. So I know they're in North Tacoma, it's northeast, southeast. So this is probably where we are. Nope, that's not it. Give me just a second. So we got Gig Harbor. Let me click on that. I thought there was a way to dial it in a little better, and now I am stumbling, so I apologize. Pierce South, Southeast, Southwest, Gig Harbor, Puyallup, Northeast, Southeast. Why doesn't it have North? Okay, well, I'm tripping here, guys. There's an easier way to do this, and I'm just choking. I don't know. Sarah, can you help me out here? Do you know what? Isn't there a way that you can get more of a overview?
I'm sorry. What are we looking for?
So I'm looking for an area map that shows just Pierce County, but kind of shows me a little wider, a more close up of Pierce, but wider, so I can see what area it's in. So I don't have to click through here until I find the right one. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay, yeah. Go up
to your matrix.
So you want to go to where you would do a search for a property?
Oh, no way. So, okay, well, I've done this a different way, but Sarah's going to show us a new and improved way. Okay, so matrix, I'm here.
Okay, now pretend like you're going to search for a property.
Okay.
Click search.
Okay.
And then what city are we doing? Tacoma?
North Tacoma, but I don't know the area number.
North Tacoma. That's fine. Just put in
Look at the map.
your location, and then you're going to go to the map.
Okay.
Okay, now see the thing that's like layers?
Yes?
Yeah, click on that. And
Okay.
then MLS area.
Oh my goodness, I never knew you could do this. Seriously, I've always done it a different way.
And then you can
so
zoom
helpful.
in.
You knew you could do that? Andrew totally knew you could do this too. See guys, I'm not even that good at what I do.
And if you, instead of just doing a general search, if you go to search by address, you can put the address in and then pull it up and do this.
Okay, that's awesome. Well, that is way easier than what I was going to show you. So this is why you got here, Sarah, as your transaction coordinator, not me. I know the house is right here. Go ahead.
Either at the end of the class or when you're ready to go over the Form 17, can I show everybody how to send it to your clients to fill it out online?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Let's do it. Okay, so I know they're right here, so they're in area 25. That was like a 10-minute way of showing you that. Community and district, do you have any, I know the community on this one, but Sarah, do you have an easy way of looking up community and district?
No.
Swing and a miss. I have a really cheap way of doing this. This is pretty lame, and it's probably not the best answer. So if somebody else has a better answer, I'd love to hear it. But one thing you can do is, I know they are right here in this little pocket, and I can go like this, and I'm sure this is the same community and area. And I can just look up active listings there, and there's none. How about sold listings? Okay, we got 4. And I can just see what they say. And if they're all saying the same, I feel pretty confident. Westgate, which I know is correct. They're all Westgate. Anyways, that one's incorrect. So anyways, that's one way you can do it. A little bit of a cheat sheet. Okay, and then I'm going to type in the address. This is all pretty straightforward. Okay, we got the purchase price, the list date, the expiration date, preliminary title. So when you are listing a property, you want to order title ahead of time. Just talk to your sellers. Most of the time, they don't have a title company they care about. So go with the title company that you know will do a good job for you. If you have questions about that, feel free to ask me. So we'll click preliminary title is ordered, because you're always going to order it ahead of time, because we need to include the Exhibit A when you list a property. Seller intends to review offers on the review date. And we're going to put the offer review date on the following Tuesday. FERPTA withholding is required, yes or no? That's a no. That's only if they are a foreign citizen. You can fill out location. A quick tip, when it has a black dot, you have to put something in there. If it doesn't have a black dot, you don't have to put something in there. So you don't have to fill these out. This is information that you can find. You can find this information, but it's honestly, nobody uses this information to find a home anymore, so I normally skip it. You're getting like real true honesty here today. Selling office commission, they're going to do 2.5. This is selling office commission comments. So if you had something you wanted to say, you could put it here, such as, I mean, I've seen some people point out like an equal split, just like point out, I'm only making 2.52, you know, to kind of make the buyer's agent feel better. You don't have to put anything here. Again, it's not a black dot. Year built is 1970, effective year built. Let's see how you can figure that out. We're gonna go back to Realist, and then where it has the parcel number, the tax ID, we're gonna click on that. Click on building. And then we are going to look for adjusted year built. That's what they call it on public record. And there it is, 2001. Type in 2001, and then it's going to say, what's the source for this? Public record. I'm assuming this is all correct because this took from public record, this square footage, lot size, etc. If there was an addition that wasn't permitted or something, you might have to adjust these. The lot size source, we can say Realist or public record, whatever you want to say. If you have virtual tours, such as a Matterport tour or a drone video or anything like that, you can put links here. Just a reminder that if you have a virtual tour, it can't be branded to you. You can have a branded virtual tour on your social media and all, but if you're posting a virtual tour on the MLS, it can't have your brand on it, because that's going to be syndicated to all the other real estate websites. They want to be fair and balanced. If there are additional tax IDs, meaning there's additional parcels that are included in the sale, you'd put them in here. Automatically put my information here. If I'm co-listing this with somebody else, I could put their information right here. Association, this is if there's an HOA and a phone number for the head of the HOA. Possession will be on closing, but let's say they want a 1 week rent back. You could say something like negotiable and see remarks, and then say sellers requesting a 7-day rent back or whatever, right? Subject tenant rights would be if you have a tenant in there who has a long-term lease. Showing information right now because of COVID. Today is April 15th, 2021, and yes, we are still suffering through COVID. I shouldn't say that. Anyways, we have to everything has to be by appointment. So you always want to pick appointment. I don't do call listing office. Instead, I do showing time. Showing time is a super easy program, which I'm going to show you guys. Actually, I'm going to write a note because I will forget. At the end of this meeting, I'm going to show you guys how to set up showing time. Showing time is a great program that Robin did a Tech Tuesday class on that allows people to just schedule really quickly from their phone or from their computer. And you can have it set up in multiple ways. You can have it so it's automatically approved. They schedule it from 1 to 1:30 and automatically approved because the home's vacant. Or you can have it where they schedule it for 1 to 1:30 and then my sellers have to press accept for it to be approved. Super cool. So we're going to do showing time. We're almost always going to do MLS key box. And then anything else that's applicable. Maybe there's a pet in the house and you want to disclose that up front. There's a security system, anything like that. If it's vacant, you want to select that. But anyways, those are just some options. Potential terms, always going to click cash out, right? This property is in good condition, so it's going to be conventional and VA and FHA. You would, click like rehab loan if it's a property that needs a rehab. Anyways, all kinds of options here. If the owner wants to do owner financing, you can click that. But generally, you're going to click cash out, conventional, FHA, and VA. Homeowner dues, there's no homeowner association, so I'm not going to check anything here. Monthly homeowner dues, again, not applicable. Monthly rent, not applicable because it's owner occupied. Senior exempt, this is if the owner is a senior and their taxes are lower because they are a senior. You have to disclose why their taxes are so low, so we're going to click no. Right of first refusal is when somebody has given some other person, and it's on title, the right of first refusal, meaning they cannot sell the property without person B saying they do not want to match another offer. Okay, let's see what the taxes are. I'm back in the assessor treasurer. I'm going to click on taxes. And we got 2021 taxes are 622. We'll call it. You should round, so 6230. Okay, Form 17 is going to be provided. And then again, they ask all these different questions about if there's CC&Rs in common, in HOAs. And this is comedy, interest, community. So that's a no. It's again, like an HOA. So you have to put in the school district, but you don't have to put in the elementary school and junior and senior high school. So I know the school district is Tacoma, and then at a later time, I'll try and find the elementary school and junior high and senior high school. I get this question all the time. Hey, what's the easy way to find out what the local schools are near there? And my answer to that is I don't have an answer to that. So if somebody finds out a really easy, simple way to find out without it, I know that you can like look geographically, but then there's some like weird streets where it's like this home, I've had this happen where this home is closer to this elementary school, but technically it's on this dividing line. So they actually go to this elementary school. So the truth is, unless I know what the elementary school and the junior high school and the senior in the high school is, I leave them blank because I don't want to give false information. But if you know for a fact, what the elementary school is, put it in there. Owner's phone number, I'm going to put this as zeros because my clients don't want their phone number being showed. Quick asterisk there. If you do not include the owner's phone number, you are required to upload the Form 7B to the supplements and the MLS. The MLS will fine you if you don't. So it's just a simple form. I'll show you guys that in a minute, but you must use the Form 7B if you are not including the owner's phone number. The occupant's type is the owner. The phone to show, this is if you want people to call a number before they show, this is where you put that number. I don't want them to call me or anybody. I want them to just schedule and showing time. So I'm also doing zeros there. The owners live in Tacoma, Washington. This is like more important if the owners don't actually live there. The occupant's name, I can just say Will and Emily. You don't need to spell out their whole names. Again, this seems kind of redundant because it's right up here too, but it's not, because if the owners didn't live there, that's where it would be necessary. You could put the tenant's name there. If it's vacant, you could type vacant, right? Is it bank owned? No. Is there third-party approval required? No, meaning does anybody else own the home that has a say in the sale of the home? Is it an auction? No. Again, I'm zooming through this because a lot of this is pretty self-explanatory. You can find the lot dimensions online. You do not have to put it there because there's no black dot. Obviously no water frontage. There's no pool. You can find the zoning really easily on the assessor treasurer in here. Zoning jurisdiction, that's where city, county, see your marks. Again, if you don't know, don't put it there unless you're sure of it. And then here's a bunch of questions that kind of takes a while to go through. So talk about the lot here. Is there brush? Is it a dune, equestrian, fruit trees, garden space? Well, I know there's garden space. It's a level property. There's no slope, no pastures, not a rural. Some of these are not super objective. So some of them, you're like, what does that even mean? Rolling, sloped, steep slope, terraces, wooded. So in my opinion on this property, those are the only two that really apply. Is there a view? In this case, there is a view of the bay, the sound, mountains. Anyways, this is all pretty self-explanatory. There's no waterfront, so I'm going to skip there. Site features, I'm not going to take too much time on this, but this is where you can write in. There's all kinds of stuff here. So I encourage you to just go line by line and just think about the home. Be like, okay, no, 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 right? And then just click on the ones that are applicable and leave the ones that aren't applicable to the side. Same here, really, really pretty self-explanatory. There's curbs, there isn't sidewalk here, there is a paved street. Anyways, you're just going to go through and click all the ones that are applicable. The sewer is connected. You could also put septic or available. So a lot of times there's a home in like South Tacoma that's still on septic, but there's sewer in the street. You'd click septic, but available, meaning it's available in the street. In this case, there's a basement and it is a daylight basement. You could also click none or anything like that. Daylight, and I'm going to click fully finished. Parking type, garage attached. Again, I'm going fast here because a lot of this is obvious. Approved number of bedrooms. This is only if it's septic. So septics are approved for a certain amount of bedrooms, and the seller should be able to give you that information. If not, you can look that up on the county, on the RSS, which I can help you with at a different time. Total covered parking is 2. There's no builder because I don't know the builder. It was 1970. You don't have to put it there unless it's new construction. Is it a new construction? No. So we're skipping all these new construction questions here. This is optional. If you know the architecture type, you can put it here. If you know the building condition, you can put it here. My opinion, I leave them blank because those are, well, architecture, you could argue is not subjective, but I don't like to, if you put your listing in a bucket and people aren't searching people are searching by a specific architecture, people may not see it. So I don't fill out those, but you can, if you like, if like this home is in very good condition, I can put that, there. So that's totally up to you. You do, however, have to put the style code. So this is important to know what you're doing here, because this has an effect on the property. If you have questions about the style code, let me know. These are objective terms, they're not subjective. So if you're not sure what the difference between 1.5 story and a 2-story is, talk to me. This home, like you might, someone who's not in real estate might be like, oh yeah, this is a 2-story home. It's not, it's a 1-story with a basement, but it kind of feels like a 2-story home when you're in it. So anyways, if you have questions about this, do ask me or somebody else, because it is actually really important that you get the style code correct. If it's a manufactured home, you'd fill in this information. Now this is really, really simple. What is the exterior? If you don't know, don't be afraid to ask the seller, or go and check it out for yourself. If you have questions about what certain things are, let me know. A lot of times something looks like wood, but it's actually cement plank, or a lot of times something looks like wood and it's actually vinyl. So when you are touring a home before listing, try keep these questions in mind, because they're going, you're going to have to fill these out, and just think about it. Same with the foundation. If you're not an expert on this, don't be embarrassed to call me and ask how to figure out these. And the roof is composition. Again, these are objective, not subjective. So if you have questions, let me know. You can put what way the home faces if you want, but no black dots, so we don't have to. Building information, it's built on lot. That's, most homes are like that. Sometimes it's a manufactured home or whatever, but anyways, it's almost always going to be built on lot. Accessibility is talking about if there's like a ramp to the home or anything like that, anything for ADA. Is there an accessory dwelling unit? In this case, there is an attached dwelling, and there are 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom in the attached dwelling. If there was anything done, like if they have solar panels or anything like that, high efficiency furnace, you can put that information here. And we're almost done with this form. This is the longest form. The rest of the forms will actually zoom through. You're going to put the square footage again in here. And I already forgot what it is, 2590. Unfinished square footage. This is, there's somewhere in the MLS that actually talks about this, but I know it off the top of my head. This is something that a lot of people do incorrectly. They'll put like a garage in here. The MLS specifically states a garage is not unfinished square footage. A garage is a garage. So you can't call that as unfinished square footage. However, an unfinished basement, that's what you'd call unfinished square footage, right? If you have questions about that, let me know, but this is gonna be a 0 because the whole home is finished except for the garage, but it's a garage. So you're not gonna add that. And then my square footage source is Realist. There is can't actually remember. I think there's 1 fireplace on each floor. Then you can disclose what kind of fireplaces they are. I don't know. Is there any leased equipment? That's a good question to ask your sellers. Let's actually pause for a second. So what I do when I'm having a listing, I go through the listing input and all the forms and I fill them out to the best of my ability. And I just write notes as I go to be like, oh yeah, I got to ask them about this. So like one thing I always forget, water heater type. I can't remember. Was it gas or electric, right? And then where's water heater located? You probably don't remember where it was when you were going through touring the home. You probably didn't take note of the water heater. Also this is a good opportunity to remind them that they have to have straps in the hot water heater. Unless it's a cash buyer, any finance buyer is going to, any lender is going to require 2 straps on the hot water tank. So if they haven't done that, let them know that's kind of non-negotiable, unless it's a cash buyer. Energy source is talking about how the home is heated, gas or electric or wood, or a multitude of both, or oil, etc. Heating and cooling, this is where you're going to say there's forced air, there's a heat pump, wall heaters, anything else. Again, just go through them one by one. Oh, it is baseboard. Oh, it is a heat pump. You know what I mean? Just go through it one by one, take your time. And then if you're not 100% sure, just put an asterisk by it. And next time you go to their house for a final walkthrough before you list it, finish it up. Same with the floor covering. You may not remember everything. So just do your best to fill out what you know about the floor. And then when you go through right before you list it, click all the additional applicable ones. This is another important one because a lot of people do search, is there a second kitchen? This one there is. There's a bath off the master and so on. So anyways, the other thing about little things like this, like ceiling fans, is like, who freaking cares if they're ceiling fans? I mean, I love ceiling fans as much as anybody, but like, does anyone actually buy a home because of ceiling fans? Probably not. However, if you miss that they're ceiling fans and you send this to your seller to sign, I've had sellers be like, oh, you missed, we have ceiling fans. And you're like, sorry, bro. Like, okay, I'll correct that. So anyways, it's important to try and to not miss any of these, because the seller feels, you know, like they're correcting you, and it's no fun to be corrected on your listing paperwork. So just something to think about. That's why it's important to try and fill these out to the best of your ability and correctly. This is an important one. Ask them ahead of time, what do the appliances say? Are you taking your washer and dryer? Are you taking your refrigerator? So, you know, obviously, well, maybe this isn't obvious, just so you know, you can't get financing unless there's a range and an oven included. And then, you know, just check the other ones that apply. This is again, back to CC&Rs. So if there are CC&Rs, the community features, there's no community here. This is water. The water is public. You can have private or lake or shared well or anything like that if applicable. Same with irrigation if applicable. This is where you're going to put the water companies, TPU, TPU, TPU in this case, right? This is a funny one because it says public transit nearby. What does nearby mean? That's a very subjective word, but you can choose if you want to select that, and then if you want to put a route there. Okay, last page. So now you're going to label each item that is applicable with what level they are on. So there is approved accessory dwelling. This is like an ADU right here, and that's in the lower. There is a bonus room in the lower. That's a little difficult, right? Because do you want to call the bonus room a family room or a great room or an extra finish room? That's where it gets a little subjective. Sometimes you might want to include your seller and ask them, what do you call that extra room in the basement, right? But there's not necessarily a right and wrong answer when it comes to that. As far as I know, if somebody knows better than me, let me know. You know, the main living area, I'm always going to call a living room. I'm not going to call it a family room or a bonus room. Everybody, that's generally accepted as a living room. But when you have those extra sitting rooms and stuff, that's where it gets a little, it's up to you and the seller what you want to call those, right? Anyways, you're just going to fill out each of these items where these rooms are. Does that make sense? Kitchen with eating space or kitchen without eating space. And then a lot of these are going to be blank. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much it on this. Then you're going to go number of bedrooms. Okay, here's a really important one. This home has 4 bedrooms. Okay, they have two on the main and 2 on the lower. However, one of the ones on the main is a master bedroom, and I've already credited us with the master bedroom up here. So if I left it as 2 and 2 and the master, it would show up as 5 on the MLS. So anyways, you would want to have this be 1 with 2 in the lower and a master bedroom up top. It's really confusing that they do that because on bathrooms, it's not that way for some reason. For some reason, they do allow you to do it differently. But I know there's one full bathroom on the main. And then there are 2 3/4 bathrooms, 1 on the main and 1 on the lower. And then you'll put in the marketing remarks. Quick tip on marketing remarks, go plagiarize. I'm just kidding, but kind of. See what other real estate agents are writing about homes in the area, and see, and you know, there are so many bad marketing remarks. And if you're bad at writing marketing remarks, just go read a bunch and find the ones that you like, and then start writing it. Just start taking words and adjectives that they use and stuff. Just a little bit of research. It's really not hard to write. And if you ever, you know, want somebody to review your marketing remarks ahead of time, feel free to send it to our amazing marketing team, or myself, if you're desperate. Confidential broker remarks. Okay, so information you want to put in here. I start by putting the showing information. So I reiterate if it's vacant or if it's owner occupied. Okay, so in this case, it's owner occupied. And owner occupied, use showing time. I'm just being hypothetical here. Min 2 hour notice. Okay. There's all kinds of things you could say here. You could say dog in kennel in garage, whatever. You could say, I have a listing right now where they have the cats roaming around and they say, please put something in there to say, don't let the cats out when you open the door. I would put at the very front here, if there's information about a security system, really at the very front, because you don't want those calls like, hey, the alarm's going off, what do I do? Put it at the very front. Important to let your clients know, the only people who can see confidential broker remarks are only licensed real estate brokers. That's it. So that's why we're only going to put things a little more private here. So you might also say something like, I've done this before, vacant from Friday through Monday, use showing time, right? So that's awesome when you're able to convince your seller to go out of town for the weekend. So it's pretty much vacant, right? So anyways, those are kind of the things that you want to put at the beginning of it. If you have to put the key box somewhere that's not on the front door, everybody assumes it's on the front door. If it doesn't fit on the front door and you have to put it on the gas meter or behind the house or something, please put in the broker remarks. It's a huge pain in the ass when you're showing a home and you can't find the super box, and it'll save you time because then people aren't calling you like, where the hell's the broker, the super box. So that's another quick tip. Additional information you may or may not want to put here. The seller would prefer 7-day rent back. Or you might want to say, losing it. I had it and then it just slipped my mind. Well, must not have been that good. You could also put in here, this is where you want to put in the title and escrow company that you prefer. So whatever the title company that you're using, say Fidelity Title and Escrow, Lisa Hayes. That's someone who I use. That you can use anybody you want, obviously. Anyways, that's kind of the information you want here. It's completely unrelated to marketing. Marketing is what all the consumers are going to see, but here you're going to put information the broker should know. Oh, I remembered it, 35P. 35P, pre-inspection addendum, is included in supplements. If you'd like to do a pre-inspection, seller encourages that, right? We're kind of pushing them to hopefully do a pre-inspection so we can get a bunch of offers in with waived inspections. Those are just some ideas. Andrew, can you think of anything else? What else do we put in the broker remarks? I think that covers it. Yeah. Anything that's more just, hey, broker, just so you know this, right? And also the broker remarks, I already kind of alluded to it. A thorough broker remarks leads to less annoying questions blowing up your phone. You want to enjoy your weekend a little bit after listing a home, put as much information in the listing as possible so people have the answers and they're not calling you, right? So that's another really important reason to fill this out. This is my favorite, completely sarcastically, part of this form. It cracks me up that we still have driving directions because I don't think anybody still uses driving directions unless it's like some crazy, ridiculous place without that your GPS doesn't go. I kind of want to passive aggressively one of these days just write, type in address in phone, press search. But I think I'll probably get fined. But that'd be really funny, I think. But anyways, they literally want you to put the driving directions in here. So however you want to do it, just pick a somewhat busy street nearby, a recognizable street, and you'd say, from Pearl heading north, take a left on this, take a right on this, take a left on this. Home will be the second home on the right. Whatever you want to do there. But believe it or not, you have to put something in there or else you will be fined. Not by me, the MLS. Yeah. So anyways, that's this form. That's the fun form. So you don't want to do this until you are completely done with this form. You ran it by the seller and it's been reviewed and you're all good. But when it is all done, you click right up here, upload listing. When you click upload listing, then it will go into the MLS and you click over here at input. Then you select your, well, sorry, for me, I'm in both offices, so, and it's showing me all the agents, but it would just show your information here. And then you select that listing and it will show up like this. And then this is where you can change things, add open houses, manage the photos, manage the supplements. And you know what, I am gonna break this into a two-part meeting. when I have a listing coming up, I will do this portion. So that people can see this, because this portion is a little confusing. Setting up showing time and all that. There's quite a few steps. I do this all the time where I'm pointing at my screen and I realize you guys can't see right through my hand. So funny. Okay, anyways, we'll do this portion at a different time, but my point is when you are done with the listing input, it's completely filled out. You want to click on this, and then everything transitions over to the MLS. Okay. Let's just go through the rest of the forms, then we'll wrap up. The rest of the forms are a lot more straightforward. So 1A is the listing agreement. This is where you specify the commission. So first part's pretty self-explanatory. Here are the sellers. Here is the broker. Here is the list date. And then the commission. This is probably, Sarah, would you agree, like the number one most common error that people make in listing paperwork?
Yes, yeah.
Everybody,
Definitely.
sorry, I shouldn't say everybody. That's completely unfair. But even experienced agents are going fast and they fill this out incorrectly. What this is saying is, what is the total commission of which the buyer's agent will make this? It's not saying what's the listing agent commission, 2.5, and what's the buyer's agent commission, 2.5. It's saying what's the total and how much is the buyer's agent going to make. If you did this 2.5 and 2.5, technically you're working for free, because that means the total commission is 2.5 and the buyer's commission is 2.5, and you're going to sign it at the bottom committing that that's what you're agreeing to. And technically, if your seller was a special type of person, he could hold you to it, and you would be working for free. So that'd be fun. So anyways, we could spend a lot of time going through all these different, well, I'm going to correct that just so that we have a visual image of what it should look like. But anyways, I really encourage you to go through this whole form and read it. This is a really, really important form. So I'm actually not going to go through it because we could spend 30 minutes or 2 minutes on it. I'm going to spend 2 minutes. I'm going to really encourage you to take the 1A and read through it, because this is the most common one that I get questions on when I have a listing appointment and having them sign this. They'll ask me a question about, what does this section 9 mean? And if you haven't read section 9 in a long time, you're gonna be like, give me a second, right? So I really encourage you to read this and be very knowledgeable about this. The only portion that you fill out is that top portion about the commission. And then here, for some reason, many people miss this, are the undersigned the sole owners? Yes or no, meaning are there other owners who aren't signing? And then you sign and the seller sign. It is a pretty simple form as far as filling it out. It's a really in-depth form as far as content. Okay, Sarah mentioned the seller disclosure being the one form that you need to send out to the seller to sign. So obviously they can sign it by hand, they can fill it out and sign it by hand, but it's a lot easier to send it as a link. So you can send this as a link to people, which will allow them to click on the link, and then they'll see it just like we're looking at it right now and be able to click boxes, which is way easier than doing it by hand. So how you do that is you go up to File, Send, Email. We're going to select which ones we want to send, the Form 17.
22E is good to do this way too.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea at all. Put in their email, whatever it is. I'm not actually going to send this, so I'm not going to put it in. You can put the subject here, Form 17. As we discussed, here's the Form 17, the one form you have to fill out. Let me know if you have any questions. Here's the important part. You want to say send as a link and allow editing of forms, and you have to pick an expiration date when they can no longer edit the forms, and that can be whatever. And then you press send, and that's it. But it's really important to say send as a link, not an attachment. If you send it as an attachment, it's just going to send them a blank PDF, and allow editing the form so that they can click it. And again, when you do it that way, they're going to get this, and they're going to be able to do it just like us, which is really, really helpful. Okay. This is another form. I really encourage you to read through it before you send it to your sellers, because they will have questions. I can almost guarantee you they're going to have questions about this form. Just a quick note, again, we can't fill this out for people, but we can give advice, right? If someone says, like a common question you get is a lot of these are all, they ask everything, right? So they say, are there any encroachments, boundary agreements, or boundary disputes? A lot of people say don't know there. Well, I would argue that the answer is no there, if they don't know. Because what it says up here, if you read the form, it says the seller is answering this to the best of their knowledge. And so to the best of your knowledge, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, are there any encroachments, boundary agreements, or boundary disputes? No would be the correct answer, right? As opposed to don't know. Anyways, the reason for that logic there, and I kind of coach my sellers in this, is if you have a Form 17 that says don't know all the way down, it looks kind of suspicious as a buyer. You're like, what the hell do they mean they don't know? Like, it's a yes or no question. Are there any that you know of? Does that make sense? So anyways, have that knowledge in mind, because there's a lot of people who are really honest, and they're trying to be really honest, and they're going to say don't know on a bunch of these because they really don't know. But what it actually is asking here is, are you aware of any of the following? It's not saying, can you unequivocally say 100% that there are no encroachment boundary agreements or boundary disputes and bet your life on it right now. It's not saying that. It's saying, are you aware of any? So anyways, that's the advice I give my sellers.
Isaac, can I add about the 17? A couple of
Absolutely.
really important notes. Every single box needs to be checked. And that's why there's this NA section, because you're going to have things that don't apply. So it's really good to point that out to people. For some reason, it doesn't catch people's attention that means not applicable. So you want to make sure every line's checked. And then see these asterisks next to some letters. If the answer to any of those is yes, then you have to write something in that empty box down at the bottom.
Right here.
And it doesn't matter if you even wrote something right on that line, you still have to write it down in this box. You can attach an additional page to the back of the 17, or to the bottom of the 17, throw it in the PDF. But you have to, if the answer is yes and there's an asterisk, they have to put something in there.
Really appreciate that, because it's so true. People, so let me say a few piggybacks off of that. First off, if you receive Form 17 back and there's clearly some that are NA that they just didn't check NA, we still don't check NA. We still send it back to them and say, please check NA on number 41, 42, 43, and 44, right? That's also really important. Number two, same thing. If there's asterisk items, you've told them this and they still forgot to fill in, to elaborate here at the bottom of page 4, you have to that. I think somebody, Sarah, is that you? You've got some background going. There we go.
No, it's not me.
Oh, not you. Okay, somebody else. Anyways, I lost track of what I was saying. If there are any asterisk items that they check yes to and then they don't elaborate on, you don't elaborate for them. You just tell them to please elaborate on it, and you send it back to them to do that. Really important. Do not fill this out for your sellers, even if you know the answer is no or yes on something. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for mentioning that, Sarah. And again, we are not allowed to fill it out. We are allowed to coach them on it. Don't tell them how, like, this is what you should answer, but coach them through it, because a lot of these are things that are super obvious to us and they just need us to hold their hand and tell them, yes, you're doing it right. 22E is a super simple form. As Sarah mentioned, you can send it to them to fill out, but you can also just, confirm with them they're not a foreign citizen. All you do is you say, I'm the seller of this property. I am not a non-resident alien. I hate the double negative because I always have to double think it. And then they do not put their social security in here. Escrow will get that from them upon signing, and they sign here. Almost done. The 22J does not have to be included in supplements, but I like to include it in supplements. If it's older than 1978, just getting ahead of it. This is where the seller is going to say if they do or do not have any knowledge or any tests done on the property that show that there is lead-based paint. And then you'll include that as a supplement after the seller signs, and the buyer will fill out the bottom portion. Same with 22K, you do not have to include this form, but sometimes it's nice to include this form ahead of time. You can disclose right up front, the water company, the sewer company, and everything else. Because if you don't fill it out right up front, then the buyer is going to ask for it. And we already talked about the 35P. So that's everything, guys. Oh, I forgot about the 7B. The 7B was the last one I mentioned. If you do not include the seller's phone number, you have to include the form 7B. Sorry, I should actually show you guys how to do that. So if you're in forms and you want to add a form, you click add. You type it up here, 7B or whatever. And then there's a few options. You click on 7B and add it, and that's it. Okay, anyways, 7B is a super simple form. We don't have a listing number yet because we haven't uploaded it to the MLS. We're saying the seller requests that their phone number, or you can do phone number and name. Phone number is excluded, and then you actually type in their number, their phone number, and then they actually sign it and you include it in the MLS. But the MLS, when you classify it as a 7B, they'll block it. So the only people who can see it is the MLS and you. So if I look at it, I won't be able to see your seller's phone number. So that's it, guys. Those are the forms. Like I said, let's do a part 2 of this sometime where we kind of take, now we've gone through all the listing paperwork and now we're getting ready to list it. What are the next steps? And we're going to talk about info, pictures, virtual tours, setting up everything on the MLS, what supplements to include, what supplements are not included, and so on. I might even, you know what I'll do? I'm actually just going to skip next week's RevUP and just do RevUP 9A or 9B. So I'm going to do week 9B. Perfect. That's it, everybody. Thanks for coming today. This is fun.
Thank you, Isaac.
Yeah, of course.
All right, have a good day.
You too. If anybody ever has questions about doing a listing, especially if it's one of your first ones, I would love to sit down and do it with you. Or, you know, just some for fun optional homework. Maybe list your own home just for fun on the MLS, and don't actually press active. That would be a mistake. But list your own home and then schedule a Zoom meeting, and I can go through and let you know, oh, that was perfect. Oh, I'd do this differently. And we can kind of talk about it. But that might be good practice. If you're nervous about doing a listing, you want to be prepared when one actually comes. So yeah, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Enjoy.